Glad you're joining us now, and you are in for a special treat because I am sharing this virtual stage with 11 of our amazing Annenberg students. I'm going to share some insider intel with you. Your kids, our students, are the very best part of our job. So this is particularly joyful for me. The students that you'll meet in just a moment are going to share a glimpse into how they are building their own unique portfolios by leveraging USC Annenberg's network to engage in original and really exciting work across all of our degree programs. We hope you had a chance to visit some of our classes yesterday, and now we're hoping to offer you a look at the ways in which we combine our mission to teach, train, and inspire this remarkable generation of young people with opportunities that they just can't get anywhere else. A rich experience that blends the academic and the professional. Our student services team, working closely with our faculty, facilitate these opportunities, and they are nimble and relentless when it comes to identifying and then implementing new ways to encourage academic excellence and professional growth. They're also hearing from our industries of practice, our employers and partners, who appreciate the emerging competencies and perspective of this generation of Annenberg students, from their content creation skills, fluency with new technologies, social media savvy, a growing understanding of data-driven decision-making, a firm ethical foundation, and critical thinking skills. As you'll hear from our students, all of this allows them to jump right into contributing meaningful, creative, and professional work, whether it's reporting alongside writers at the LA Times, building an earned media plan for the director of a nonprofit, or helping launch a brand new podcast series. To get us started, we'll take a look at how our student journalists at Annenberg Media are covering the news amidst a global pandemic. You'll find the resilience and the creativity they demonstrate is a common thread that links all of the students you'll hear from today.
Good evening. I'm Caleb Michael, reporting from Brentwood.
And I'm Genevieve Glass, reporting from West Hollywood. We are reporting from our homes tonight. In fact, everybody at Annenberg Media is practicing social distancing.
So I'm getting ready for Annenberg TV News tonight, and even though we're not in the studio anymore, I'm still able to prepare for the show from the comfort of my own home. I have my computer here, I have my lamp all set up, and it looks like we're ready to go. USC will be distributing face coverings to essential employees and students on campus.
African Americans in LA County are being hit harder by the coronavirus compared to other groups. A professor at the Keck School of Medicine talked to me about the distrust between African Americans and the healthcare system.
USC's Iovine and Young Academy is partnering with the LA Protects Initiative to help the shortage of protective gear for hospital workers. LA Mayor Eric Garcetti paid a visit to the Academy's makerspace on Sunday.
Hello, my name is Chandler France. Everything is a little bit different now with social distancing, but I'm super proud of the work that my reporters have been doing, and we're getting through this together.
Today we're producing Sports Scene remotely. Sports Scene is now a 45-minute live talk show-based sports show. Today we're reporting on some USC basketball recruiting news that two big recruits didn't commit to USC. Are they hurt? And if so, how much about not landing Williams or Christopher?
Hi, my name is Isaiah Murtaugh. I'm a reporter, host, and producer at Annenberg Radio and the Media Center.
Welcome to our recording studio.
So we've got the blanket over the entrance to deaden the sound. And then Sebastian brought me a special sound box to put our wonderful microphone. And if I put it on the shelf, it's exactly at my mouth height, which is so cool.
Hi, my name is Hala Oscar, and I'm a reporter for Annenberg Media at USC. I work on a lot of podcasts in the Media Center, and so luckily a lot of my work that I do there can be done here at home. And this is Full Disclosure, where you'll get an inside look at the tough decisions that journalists must make every day before delivering your news.
For many people, moving to the United States represents one of the biggest life opportunities. For me, moving to the United States represented uncertainty and the fact that I was going to be away from everything I love.
Hello, my name is Derek Lamar Cottingham, and this is Smile and Wave Podcast. Smile and Wave is a podcast focusing on the mental health of young adults while navigating the ever-changing world.
Hello, my name is Diamond Jones. I'm a junior at USC majoring in public relations. I've been capturing my COVID-19 project for my journalism class, which has been challenging. I'm currently in a low-income area in the inner city of Milwaukee. I've been capturing emotions and what it's like to live in a low-income area during this time. As a journalist, I could not be any more honored or proud of my work, trying to tell a story that will one day be considered a piece of our history.
This is one of the biggest moments we're ever going to face, and it's an opportunity to report, to do interesting work, to make interesting stories, and we're doing it.
Hi everyone, my name's Dan. I just graduated as a part of the class of 2020 from Annenberg, and what you just saw there was an example of all of us going virtual for the last semester, which was difficult to say the least, but I think it does showcase how flexible an Annenberg major is, right? We can work just as hard in studio as we can out of studio. And as we've seen over the past year, that's quite an asset to have, given what we've been doing now and what we might be doing for the future, depending on how long this is. For a little bit about me, I was the managing editor for Annenberg Media. I was a reporter there. I was an anchor there. I was a podcast host for a little bit. I created my own late night show. I did quite a bit. One of the main things, though, that I did during my senior year was I created the health and wellness desk at Annenberg Media. And what we did as a part of the mental health desk was we wanted to raise the discussion on specifically mental health, but then we found out that our reporting could be so much more than that. So once we got that group of students together who wanted to write stories for this health and wellness desk, we had the opportunity to cover topics that we just weren't doing before at Annenberg. So that included stories about chronic pain, about anxiety. We had a story about how students were coping with being home during the coronavirus. Really just a wide range of subjects that fell under the health and wellness topic. And so I think if my experience shows anything, and for you parents with new students here, this is good news for you. If my experience shows anything, is that you have such a range of opportunity here at Annenberg to really make it your own experience. Your student is not going to be shoved into one corner. They're not going to be asked to cover a specific beat and never be able to implement their own ideas. With that, Joelle, I hear you're up next.
Thank you, Dan, and hi everyone. My name is Joelle Ferguson. I was honored to be a recipient of the Kaylee Finney Memorial Endowment this past school year, and this endowment really helps students with money and resources to improve the mental health landscape at USC. For me, I was a strong mental health advocate due to the grief I dealt with after my mother and grandfather passed away. And under the endowment, I was able to get funding and support for my proposals to eventually create a campaign called Remove the Barrier that aimed to remove the barriers of mental health access at USC. Under this campaign, I was able to create a website. I knew that USC had some issues with broken links and the way the layout was, and I wanted to improve that experience for people dealing with mental health. And then I also was able to do a survey with over 120 students where I gathered quantitative and qualitative data so we can get a wide-ranging view of really what are the USC students dealing with at USC. And then I also was able to talk to numerous administrators, which eventually led to my plans being implemented this fall. And through that, I was eventually able to go into the Annenberg Summer Agency created this summer, where students, we got to work under amazing alumnus and consulting projects for nonprofits. I was able to work with Active Minds, which is a nonprofit that helps with mental health awareness and education for college students. And under that, I was able to create an earned media campaign with my 5 teammates. I was also able to create evergreen content and numerous different things that impacted thousands of students. Mason can tell you a little bit more about this agency, but I'm so thankful that I was able to take my 4 years of skills and turn it into communicating and working with the client to make sure that their vision was executed and on the deadlines that they desired. Here, I'll take it to Mason, and he can tell you a little bit more.
Thanks, Joelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Mason Wise, and this summer I participated in the Annenberg Agency. So like many students, this summer I lost my internship due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and I was a bit unsure as to what I was going to be doing this summer and if I was going to have a chance to get some interesting experience, especially work experience. And the Annenberg agency actually gave me this opportunity. The program partnered with 9 nonprofit organizations and allowed 62 students to get an interesting immersive experience this summer with each one of them. I personally was involved with Everytown for Gun Safety, which is a nonprofit organization and a Bloomberg philanthropy that has the mission of ending the problem of gun violence in the United States. So our program was split into 5 teams of 5 students. I had the chance to lead one of them. And throughout the month, we essentially specialized in content creation for the various channels of Everytown, their student demand action groups, all the way down to their local field offices. Throughout the month, we essentially had come up with different projects. I let people on my team essentially choose their own. So we had some team members partnering with our local South Central Students Demand Action chapter to interview them, some others doing infographics for social media, and even just some research about policy and candidates for the upcoming election. At the end of the month, we had a huge amount of content from our team and all the other 4 teams. And we honestly actually had a little bit too much content that we didn't know what to do with. And that spawned a new idea, which was to create the Students Demand Action chapter at USC. And what Students Demand Action is the division of Everytown for Gun Safety that is primarily run by college students and high school students across the country, coming down to state field offices and local chapters. So we essentially use this as an opportunity not only to have a place to publish all our great content that we made over the month, but to keep going with our advocacy work, especially in anticipation of the next election. So the experience as a whole has been extremely rewarding for me, and I'm sure all my teammates. I'm really glad I was able to participate in it. Okay, now Anna's going to talk to you about the work that she and her peers did in the Annenberg agency this summer.
Thank you so much, Mason. I'm Anna, and I also had the opportunity to intern with the Annenberg agency this summer, and I worked with Project Angel Food, and it really gave me a real-world experience of the communications sector of a nonprofit despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. So Project Angel Food is a nonprofit that prepares and delivers medically tailored meals to feed people impacted by serious illnesses in the Los Angeles County who are too sick to cook or shop for themselves. So some of my daily tasks included creating social media content and assisting Anne-Marie Williams, who is the communications director, with implementing social media strategies to reach a greater audience, which is what we really focused on, trying to reach college-age students. And I also edited video content and audio content and shot videos in the kitchen for TikToks, which is something that I learned this summer. That was really fun. After the summer was over, I had the opportunity to continue working with Project Angel Food and volunteer with them. I had done a business internship in the past and really wanted to gain more insight into the communications, public relations industry. So I thought that really gave me a hands-on experience to see it firsthand in the office, which was a really unique opportunity that I wasn't expecting.
Hi, my name is Tomas Mier. I'm a recent graduate at USC. Over the summer, I had the amazing opportunity of interning at the LA Times on their COVID-19 reporting team. This was a partnership between USC, the Pulitzer Center, and the LA Times for a paid internship. I gained so much experience writing obituaries on the lives lost due to COVID-19. It taught me about empathy and the power of storytelling. And it was amazing to be able to talk to people's families and see the closure that they got speaking to us about their loved one that they lost. I would say my favorite story over the summer was when I wrote about Angela Martinez, a person who identified as a third gender. She's originally from Oaxaca, Mexico, and identified as Mushe. Her story came to light when an organization called her transgender and used her as this token of trans lives matter during the age of COVID. After doing some research, I found out that she did not identify as trans and was able to write about something so specific, yet such an important story about identity and culture as well. Along with the obituaries that I wrote for the LA Times, I also wrote 2 stories that ended up on the front page of the LA Times. One was about some controversial namesakes at USC, and I was able to work with some of the top editors at the newspaper and learn so much about reporting, about investigating, about empathy, and most of all, about the power of storytelling. Now, I currently am a writer at People Magazine, where I write about music and celebrity news.
Hi, everyone. I'm Astrid Kayembe, and I also got the opportunity to be a COVID-19 reporting intern at Los Angeles Times this summer. And I cannot express how grateful I am for this opportunity to be able to be such an integral part of not only just America's history, but the history of the entire world. One of the obituaries in particular stood out to me was for a woman named Sally Lara, who was a phlebotomist at a hospital in Redlands. And she was at the forefront of the fight to get not only like doctors and nurses personal protection equipment, but also for everyone who worked at the hospital, whether that be like just any of the essential workers. Like evidently that fight ended up eventually like led her to catch coronavirus and pass away. Her story is just so important because it reminds me of why I became a journalist in the first place, is to be able to amplify the voices of those who aren't being heard. And to know that Sally did that up until her final moments is so crucial to me. And I keep that with me as a lesson. Being a part of this project has meant so much more to me than just getting bylines in Los Angeles Times. For me, it was about being an empathetic journalist, and I definitely was able to gain that experience through this project. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for this project to be able to memorialize and commemorate all the lives that have been lost so far in California. But also I'm so grateful to the families for being able to be vulnerable and share their family stories with me so that they can continue to live on. It was such an honor to be able to offer this project as a gift back to families. And for that, I will always remember, and it will always be a part of me.
Hi, my name is Zazu Lippert, and I'm currently the Noemi Pollock Scholar at the USC Annenberg Center for Public Relations. The center is a place that really aims to define the future of the PR industry and develop those who will shape it, so that's including us students. And working there has really continued to shape my Annenberg experience. So I initially got involved at the center as a volunteer in spring 2020, and then when we went remote, the team was trying to figure out how we could share our important findings from our annual spring report, which is called the Global Communication Report. And this past year it was focused on new activism, which is obviously a topic that's just become increasingly more relevant during the pandemic. And usually we present the findings of the report with amazing industry guest speakers at our annual Kenneth Aller Symposium, which has actually been the premier event for PR students and practitioners in SoCal since the 90s. But once it was canceled, we knew we had to pivot. So we had all these amazing guests lined up: Damon Jones, who's the CCO of Procter & Gamble, Jamie Margolin from Zero Hour, and April Rain, who created the Oscars So White hashtag, just to name a few. And so we thought, why not interview all of our guest speakers remotely and create a podcast that's focusing on the future of the PR industry, starting with insights from these amazing speakers. So our podcast is hosted by Fred Cook, and it's called PR Future. And Fred is our center director and also the chairman of Golan. And so I worked really closely with him on scripting and then edited and overall produced the podcast, which I continue to do into the summer when I started as the center's intern. And since then, the podcast has just continued to grow. Our first season focuses on new activism, and then our upcoming second season will focus on the findings from our other annual report, which is called the Relevance Report, and it's a collection of essays from a variety of industry professionals on the future of the industry. In the summer, I also managed the center's social media channels and gained a lot of industry experience in social media content creation and just writing effective social media copy, which is something that is kind of a must now in the PR industry. And I've really had the chance to interact with countless professionals in my field of interest and learn more about their organizations and their practices and how to be successful in the industry and still make an impact. So I'm incredibly lucky to really work with some of the best in the industry through the center. And I've just applied so much of what I've learned from my amazing Annenberg classes into real life scenarios here at the center. And I'm super excited to see where it goes. And now Sharon is going to talk to you a little bit more about some research opportunities.
Hi, my name is Sharon, and something really cool that I got to be a part of this summer was doing research with Professor Mike Annenberg's group called MASTS. So this is a research group that's really interdisciplinary across many different majors. So this was a really cool experience because I actually got to work very hands-on with a group project, with a research project called Viral Vocabularies. And we really focused on the different languages that changed, were shaped by news outlets, media, and social media. So for example, even just the term coronavirus itself has many different names, with COVID-19, with the Rona, even with China virus. And what this tells us about the languages around the pandemic is that different communities, different groups of people take up different vocabularies. And this actually reveals the different dynamics of the world of the pandemic. So for example, I mentioned the Rona, which is actually a term that is more commonly used with younger generations, with my generation, on social media and with texting. And my specific part of the project, I actually got to look at face masks and how that itself was constantly changing throughout the pandemic. Even as I was researching, there was constantly new information about is this actually effective? How should we be wearing them? Where should we be wearing them? It was constantly showing me that the dynamics of the world are constantly changing. There are so many tensions and controversies around face masks. I think something really valuable about my experience was that because things were constantly changing, I learned to be really flexible in my work. So overall, I think research this past summer was a really valuable experience. And it's something that Annenberg students, communication students have a really great chance and opportunity to do at USC.
Hi, my name is Jaren, and I've also had a fantastic opportunity doing research here at Annenberg. I started doing research with the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative during the spring of my freshman year at USC. The Annenberg Inclusion Initiative is a fantastic research initiative led by Dr. Stacey Smith that studies diversity and inclusion in the entertainment industry. These studies dig into the film, TV, and music industry and analyze many factors such as race, age, LGBT representation on camera in the recording studio of executives and behind the camera. Not only does the Inclusion Initiative create phenomenal research studies, they also give research-based solutions that industries are applying to achieve more diversity on the screen and behind the scenes. As a coder, I work heavily with data collection. I spend around 8 hours a week coding, which is our terminology, for watching films and assessing the various demographics through our own system of code. I also spend time doing background research for new studies to lay the groundwork for new coding techniques. My experience with the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative has played a major role in the direction of my career. When I was a freshman, I had no idea what I wanted to do other than work in the entertainment industry. Once I joined, I was enamored with the impact that we were having in the film, TV, and music industries. As a Black woman myself, I have always been cognizant of the lack of diversity in entertainment, but I never realized that I could be a part of the change. Now I want to work in the music industry and create more diversity in executive positions. Music is one of the most diverse art forms, and those leading the field should reflect that. I now aspire to be a high-level executive who is at the forefront of creating diversity within the music industry. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ruby Yuan. I graduated from Annenberg this May. I took journalism class with Professor Robert Hernandez multiple times. It's a class, but also a creative lab. In each semester, the entire class of students coming from different backgrounds work on one project theme together. We use the emerging technologies such as 360 video, virtual reality, augmented reality, photogrammetry, and drone to empower underserved community to tell their stories. My favorite project was called Homeless Realities. We trained members of homeless communities and helped them to tell stories they wanted to share. People often have stereotypes about this community because stories about them were often negative. Our project empowered community members to talk about their daily life. To me, that's meaningful. The journalism group has won so many awards. For example, most recently, our Tijuana projects won several so-called journalism awards from LA Press Club. And our Homeless Reality projects just won a Webby Award. And previously, we won a Shorty Award and also the Best Show of the Year from the Society of Professional Journalists. I really appreciate journalism. As Professor Hernandez says, it's not about technology. It's the content, the product, and the culture. It's how we creatively apply emerging and evolving technology to journalism for good. This mindset will benefit me in the long run. For example, this summer, I was at LA Times as a creative technology intern. The whole summer, what I was doing is to think about how do I apply new technologies to empower journalists to tell their stories in creative ways and also more meaningful ways. Now, Simran is going to talk about more highlights from Annenberg Media.
Hi, I'm Simran, and I am an LA Press Club Foot in the Door Fellow, which is a fellowship dedicated to helping minorities and young journalists get their foot in the door, literally, at newsrooms across the country, local or national. And I'm also a recent award recipient of the LA Press Club Best News Writing Campus Issues. We won second place. at Annenberg Media for that award. And I'm really proud of our team for what we accomplished on that story. It was a really difficult story to write. It was an investigative piece, and it taught me a lot about what it takes to actually investigate a difficult issue and navigate. The Annenberg Media Newsroom is just spectacular. All the students working there and all the staff working there are just so dedicated to creating quality content information for the students and also for the South LA and Greater LA community. And over there, I've had the opportunity to work on podcasts. I've had the opportunity to work on the South LA desk as an editor, which is probably one of the most formative experiences I had in my journalism education, and has really influenced me to work with minority communities in my professional career. Right now, I'm working producing a series of mini documentaries for ABC7 on minority communities. So I'd say my experience at Annenberg Media in that professional level of a newsroom has created a really easy track for me to go from student to professional, and has also really influenced the kind of coverage I want to do. And there's always staff there encouraging you and reinforcing you, but not making the decisions for you, which is a really important distinction and not always a part of student newsrooms. So I'm really proud to be an alum of Annenberg Media. And I always tell people they should work there because it is just the most fantastic and growth-inducing place you can find yourself on campus.
Bravo. Thank you so much, Simran, and to all our students who joined us today to share their experiences. As you can see, it's not only the Trojan family that's consistently impressed by the caliber of work our students do. Year after year, they receive awards and honors from top organizations across the country, and we never get tired of being proud of them. I'm sure you can relate to that. So I hope you enjoyed this special look into the ways our students are building their Annenberg portfolio and making the most out of their student experience. Each student's pathway is different, and we know that your students have their own stories to share as well. We hope they'll share them with us, maybe by sending me an email at annenbergdean@usc.edu or post on social, #ASCJ. If your student isn't sure how to get started with opportunities like these, encourage them to reach out to their academic advisor. So happy Trojan Family Weekend, and thank you for joining us.